Hello and welcome to This Week in East Brunswick. On today's program, Mayor Bill Neary will be in our studio along with Austin Cosick, the Township's Emergency Management Coordinator, with an update on emergency preparedness. Diane de Oliveira's Making a Difference has information on Manavi, a support resource for women of Middle Eastern descent. Lisa Buckwalder hosts a Cultural Minute about the history of the Olympic Games. We'll also have our weekly Township Council review and a look at the annual breakfast to benefit Camp Daisy. We'll also take a look at a festival to highlight Eastern and Western European culture, which was sponsored by the East Brunswick Human Relations Council. Stay with us.
Hello, I'm Bill Neary, Mayor of the Township of East Brunswick. Today I think we have to come together to talk about some of the issues that affect us as a community, as a nation, and the world. We know we're living in troubled times, but we also know that there's concerns and anxious feelings that we all share about our own personal safety, the safety of our private property, and of course our families. So I want to make sure the residents of East Brunswick know that we're not just sitting on our hands and shrugging our shoulders, that there are plans in place, that there are procedures in place, and that there are a long history of the Township of East Brunswick being prepared for a variety of different occurrences, whether it's from natural or unnatural occurrences. With me today is our Emergency Management Coordinator, Austin Cosick. I want to thank you for joining us, Austin.
Thank you.
You've been with me before. We've had dozens of meetings over the last several years. And I think because of the anxiousness we're talking about in our community, I think people need to know a little bit more about some of the things that East Brunswick as a community is prepared to face. So I think the best place to start is the comprehensive plan that we've had that started in the 1940s. If you want to just give us a very brief overview of what that's all about.
Sure. We have a comprehensive approach to emergency management in East Brunswick. We take an all hazards approach, which shows that we look at the whole township in general, and we look at what potential emergencies we could have within the township. We take those situations, we apply them to a plan. We have a basic plan with 15 what we call annexes that have chapters of how to handle certain situations, evacuations, snowstorms, fires, tornadoes, earthquakes, any natural, man-made, technical disaster. And we operate out of our plan that we've had in place and reviewed periodically since the 1940s under the old civil defense system that was transferred over to become emergency
Well, we don't
management.
want people to think that we're working on civil defense mechanisms that were in place during World War II. It has been constantly updated, constantly revised. I know one of the major changes that were made in 1999 was after Columbine, where you sat down to coordinate some new plans with the Board of Education. So we have kept this very much up to date.
Yes, it's a very active process. It's constantly changing. We look at certain situations as the township grows, infrastructure materials that come along, and we work with the private government, other public sectors, county, state, and federal agencies, and we have the mechanism in place in the event whatever emergency we should have within the township, we can go through that ladder and work our way up. And vice versa, it can come from the federal government on the way down to the township in order to assist other agencies if something should go on.
And the OEM is actually more of a coordinating body with police rescue squads and fire departments in a lot of ways too. I mean, they're part of this whole plan. It's not just the OEM office itself. It's a coordinated response from all these different entities.
That's correct. Emergency management is simply the coordinating office for the public safety agencies, the local government agencies to come together in a time of an emergency, in time of a disaster, and emergency management coordinates the efforts through the response phase, through the recovery phase, and then the mitigation phase to try to prevent this from happening again. And prior to all of this, we do the planning phase, which we plan for emergencies. And we take the different entities, police, fire, EMS, public works, local utilities, and apply their plans all into one, and we coordinate it, orchestrate it into a smooth running operation in the event we should have any type of incident.
Now, that would be the internal coordination, and you mentioned briefly the external coordination of other entities, other OEMs, other federal, state, county OEMs, so that there is a constant communication between all the different layers so that should something occur.
Correct.
I mean, we're prepared that if something does occur, we know we have equipment, we know we have training to respond to that. But the other part of that is to make sure that we're not in a vacuum here, that we're not sitting alone, that we're not going to be surprised. I mean, a horrible snowstorm or a tornado requires a certain response. A terrorist attack requires perhaps a different response, but overall, it is still the plan that's going to make the difference. The roads, the infrastructure, the communication devices will still be the same type of response.
That's correct. If an incident should occur, regardless of how the incident has developed, our response will remain the same in the sense of, God forbid, we have an airliner crash. That response is planned, and why that airliner went down does not have an impact on our response. That's an investigative end. In emergency management, emergency services, local government, to the public, their response would remain the same. So as we had done with blizzards when we get 2 feet of snow come in, 1.5 feet of snow, and blizzard-like conditions, and we enact a state of emergency within the township. The state of emergency then asks for what protective measures do you need. The protective measures would be limited traffic, shutting the roads down in order to get the plows out, in order to allow the emergency personnel to get out. That would be protective measures that the residents would have to adhere to.
Well, that's very much to the color codes that we keep seeing every day from Washington about the different levels of alert. I mean, the difference between orange and red is, I know orange is a high level of security and concern, and red is extreme. So the differences between the colors is almost what we do in terms of an emergency response. Is we know what we have to do in the event of something major in terms of enforcement, in terms of putting out a fire. I mean, it's simple. If there's a fire at, let's say, at some place like one of the shopping centers, we know about the fire department will be working with the evacuations. We know the fire department has the equipment to fight the fire. But the impact it'll have on traffic, about toxic fumes, all those type of things are all part of the bigger thing that the OEM works on.
Correct. And we've had that happen before in the township. We've had hazard materials releases where we've had to set up evacuation points, set up a shelter in place for residents. We've had commercial fires on Route 18 that...
Well, John, the key part is when you're saying set up, it means that we're prepared to set up. If necessary, we can do this. We have evacuation points. We have shelters that could become available immediately. It's not like something also we're going to say, now what do we do?
No, we've had our plan in place. We've had shelters. We have evacuation routes. We've identified critical facilities within the township for years. Critical in the sense of if we have utility outage, if we have a fire, if we have a snowstorm, certain areas that these facilities need to be addressed to. It's nothing new to us. This is a plan that's been in place, a plan that's been exercised in many fashions through tabletop exercises, through actually full scale where equipment would go out and roll.
I remember at the mall when you did that.
Right. So, you know, this whole emergency planning concept is really what we do every day. We plan every day, we update our plans, and I can assure you that our plan has been reviewed. Our plan is a constant work in progress.
Well, as a work in progress, I know we've had these ongoing discussions at the Board of Education about the public schools and the responses in public schools should we get to these type of higher awareness of things. There's a meeting scheduled next week with private schools and with daycare providers and a variety of different child care facilities that we're going to have in town with you, me, and some of the members of the Public Safety Department. I know we're working, that's part of our ongoing efforts to keep this up to date.
Right. We look at a population as the school system would be, as our healthcare facilities and things of that nature. I remember going back in 1999, the school system got together in a very proactive way as a response to Columbine, that their crisis plan they already had in motion to look at it and define it and learn the lessons that they learned in Columbine. And we worked on it for a solid year and a half of a committee of close to 30 to 40 people in different disciplines and different aspects, and we really made a more comprehensive plan. And I have to say that the Board of Education has been the front runner in this county, if not in the state, in that type of plan. It's been a very good cooperation with nearly 10,000 people just in the school system alone daily. You have a city within a city, and we look at that very specifically. And between these hours, we need to really address that, and it's addressed in our planning process, and it's fallen into a priority list. And they're very, very proactive with it. And they exercise their plan like we exercise ours.
Well, we're also going to find that our plan also has that built-in flexibility with public safety. I know, especially over the next couple of weeks while we're doing these, maybe our awareness and our fears are a little heightened. We're going to have deployment of police officers in places you may not normally see police officers. We're going to have police officers out of uniform deployed in places that you don't normally know they're there. Using the example in New York City, where the mayor and the police commissioner were talking about the undercover police efforts within some of their public places. We're going to use some deployment like that to make sure people know that we're making sure we're being proactive as much as reactive and making sure that we're prepared. There is one thing that we talked about briefly, and I want to make sure before we wrap it up, is the communication with the county, the state, and everything else. There's addresses and websites, and phone numbers that people can get in touch with. I believe it's mostly websites. I'm asking them to put that on the screen while we're talking, so if people need specific information about what to do and how to do it, they can get in touch with those agencies.
That's correct. If you go to those websites, they will not only give you a whole cachet of information that you would need for yourself personally, for your family, for your workplace, but also they will link you to different areas that may be of concern to you that they don't strictly address. They're very good websites. They have very good information. It's continuously updated, and by looking at that, we'll answer a lot of your questions. And naturally, any questions that anybody has at any time, they can contact the Office of Emergency Management, and we'd be more than happy to answer their questions and do whatever it needs to make them feel that we're prepared.
Number up there too. Well, Austin, I just want to thank you for coming. I think you've done a great service to the community by making sure that our OEM is up to date. I think we're going to do our best to continually communicate to our residents. EBTV here has been a great source of information. Our community website has been a source of information. And I think the idea is to make sure that we've done what we can and will continue to do what we have to do to make sure that the safety of our public is always protected, and it's a top priority. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
A nonprofit organization in Central Jersey is trying to increase awareness of women's rights and encourage social change to end violence against women. Hi, I'm Diane de Oliveira, and with me today is Alka Kameth. She's an advocate counselor with Manavi. Manavi has been around for 18 years. For people who have never heard of it, tell us what it is.
Established in 1985, Manavi was the first organization within the United States to address the issue of domestic violence within the South Asian community. So basically, 18 years back, we almost started as a study group, as a consciousness-raising group to increase awareness of women's rights. And calls from domestic violence victims changed the focus of the organization. That is, we added services to women, South Asian women who are facing violence.
And you offer so many services. Tell me about some of them.
We offer legal clinics and advocacy. We offer counseling and support groups. We have a transitional home. We do education and outreach too. So these are some of the services that we have.
As far as the educational outreach, what do you do with that?
We participate in rallies protesting against women's issues if there are any ongoing at the moment. And then we also build capacity. We have capacity trainings for other mainstream organizations so that they can better deal with the women, South Asian women who call for help.
Are there any issues right now that you're currently working on or pushing for?
We are presently protesting against the special registration program of the INS, where they're asking men from different countries, South Asian countries, to register with the INS. So we are participating in rallies and demonstrating our protest against it, and also holding community forums for those affected communities.
How do you judge Manavi's success? Do you feel like you're making a difference?
Of course. As I said, that Manavi is an organization which is dedicated to helping women empower themselves, especially women who trace their cultural heritage back to India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. So we provide information to women, we provide legal referrals, clinics, and help women empower themselves.
How many women do you help? Do you see people on a weekly basis, monthly, yearly?
It just depends. On an average, we receive one new call every day, and last year we worked with more than 400 women, South Asian women.
400? Mm-hmm. That's incredible. As far as the services, do you charge any fees?
All of our services are free of charge.
How is Manavi funded?
Manavi gets its funding through the government agencies, the federal grants, and individual donations.
And as far as some of these success stories to come out of Manavi, can you share one with us?
Sometimes women, I would like to say something like on general lines rather than going into specific details because of confidentiality reasons. We've helped women with the immigration. Many times women who accompany their spouses to this country are on dependent visas, and that would be an effective tool for men to abuse or control women. So we help women find immigration measures on their own. So I would say.
For women interested in learning more about Manavi, any of the services and programs that you offer, or becoming a volunteer, what can they do?
They can call Manavi at 732-435-1414 or log on to our website on www.manavi.org, that is MANAVI.org, and we would be able to help you out.
How many volunteers does Manavi have?
We have 60 active volunteers, and we have a database of 300 volunteers.
And who, as far as your programs that you offer, are they all done by volunteers, or do you bring professionals in?
Most of our work is done by volunteers. We have a staff of 7 people, and our activities, we have different collectives like the Sexual Assault Collective, the Counseling Collective, the Legal Collective. So any volunteer who's interested in a particular area can sign up for a collective and start doing work on that, because we also provide court accompaniments to women in addition to the immigration assistance and the legal assistance.
Now, if Manavi doesn't have a program and somebody calls the hotline, the crisis hotline, and there's something that you don't offer, do you consider adding that type of program or service? Or do you direct them to somewhere else?
We have very good linkages with the mainstream organizations and other organizations which would be more appropriate. So based on what the women's needs are, we do make appropriate referrals. Many times women who go through domestic violence could also be victims of the 9/11 backlash. So we work with them, and in addition we also refer them to other organizations.
Alka, is there anything else that you'd like people to know about Manavi that we didn't get to mention?
Manavi provides culture-specific and language-appropriate services to all South Asian women. Domestic violence is a community issue. Please break the silence by talking about it.
And again, for people who might have missed the information on how to get more information about Manavi, what can they do?
They can call Manavi at 732-435-1414 between office hours 9:30 to 5:30, or log on to our website at www.manavi.org.
And where is Manavi located?
It's located in downtown New Brunswick.
Thank you so much, Alka. For Making a Difference, I'm Diane de Oliveira.
Hi, this is Lisa Buckwalder for East Brunswick Human Relations Council with a Cultural Minute. The flag, which flutters above the Olympic stadiums every 2 years, stands for unity amongst nations and is set on a background of white for peace, with 5 interlocking rings which symbolize the nations of Africa, the Americas, Asia, Australia, and Europe. French educator Pierre de Coubertin is considered to be the father of the modern Olympic Games and the inspiration behind its international scope. He advocated a philosophy that placed sport at the center of a universal campaign for peace and international understanding, a philosophy he called Olympism. No longer limited to just one country, the modern multinational Olympic Games began anew in Athens, Greece in 1896. Contemporary ceremony has the Parade of Nations enter the stadium on opening night, with Greece always heading the procession in recognition of the event's origins, and that year's host country as the final entrance into the arena. The Olympic flag was first raised in 1920, the Winter Olympics was established in 1924, and the tradition of the Olympic torch relay was initiated in 1936. It takes several weeks or months for the series of runners to carry the flame from its source in Olympia, Greece, to its new home on the international world stage. Each run is symbolic of the continual need for and possibility of world peace and understanding. In what ways are you or someone you know working towards effective human relations within your community? Please contact us here at EBTV. We would love to hear about your successes and efforts.
This past Sunday, the East Brunswick Human Relations Council sponsored the East-West European Festival at the Senior Center. Here's organizers Cindy Kondratuk and Rebecca Brenowitz.
We are here, and hopefully you'll get a taste of the Eastern Western European Festival that's being held in the Senior Center today. It's one of the many programs that the Human Relations Council of East Brunswick brings to this town. Our main purpose in this town is to bring educational type programs that foster goodwill and understanding between all the residents.
I've taught Eastern European cooking at the high school for the past 4 years, adult education, and I was amazed as to how many people of my own ethnicity, as well as others, who had no clue as to how to cook their heritage dishes. And I was reading on other ethnic groups that were having their festivals, and I says, geez, you know, Eastern Europe migrated over here much earlier than other ethnicities, and although I love other ethnicities, I said, something's missing here. And my head started turning, and I put some really good energy to use, and I called the mayor's office, who directed me to Rebecca, and I approached them with an Eastern Western European Festival.
The East Brunswick Human Relations Council is always looking for new members to join our group, our energetic group, and we hope Cindy joins us. Plus, there are openings for others at the moment. So we hope that you'll come out and enjoy programs like this, and look forward to our next event in the summer at Crystal Springs, and then our Community is Fair will be held on September 14th, a rain date September 21st. So thank you again, Cindy.
My name is Ralph Lamo. I'm a captain to East Brunswick Special Police, and I'm here at our 20th annual Camp Daisy breakfast. We started this breakfast 20 years ago. A couple of people got together, and we've been very successful. We raised quite a bit of money, and all the money goes to Camp Daisy. There are no expenses. All the food is donated. The beautiful hotel here donates to facilities. All the volunteers work for free, and there are absolutely no expenses. So all the money we gross here goes to Camp Daisy. I've been working with Camp Daisy since 1976. I started with the Special Olympics in that year, and I wasn't even aware there was such a thing as Camp Daisy. In fact, there's a lot of people in our town may not be aware of it, and we're always looking for help. So if you'd like to volunteer, and if you'd like to get involved in helping our handicapped children and young adults, you may call in East Brunswick 732-390-6797. That's the Department of Recreation, the Division of Recreation, and they could steer you to the right people and you can get involved. And I'll tell you, it's very rewarding to get involved with something like this. I want to thank everyone all the patrons that came to our breakfast. It seems our 20th year is going to be a banner year. We had a great crowd, and I'm very thankful for everyone who supported us, and all the donors too. Thank you.
At this week's Town Council meeting, Mayor Neary, Emergency Management Coordinator Austin Cosick, and Director of Public Safety Thomas Finn assured the residents that the town's emergency management procedures are current and firmly in place.
We all know we live in troubled times, and there's a great deal of anxiety among our residents, as there is in the rest of the country, because of the news that we see on our television sets every day. So tonight I thought it was appropriate that the council and the entire community has an opportunity to hear about some of the emergency management updates that we have as East Brunswick Township. I want to emphasize before we start our short presentation that there has been no specific threats or direct threats or any issues that affect directly East Brunswick as a township. But that does not mean that we're not prepared to face a whole myriad of problems.
Director of Public Safety Thomas Finn also mentioned how Reverse 911 works.
Sure. Very briefly, Reverse 911 takes the Verizon 911 database that is maintained for East Brunswick. There's a database of numbers within the community that when a person calls 911 and it comes into our dispatch center, their name and their exact address appears on what's called an alley screen, automatic location identifier. And it tells the dispatcher, this is the name of the person who lives at that home, and this is the address. And the reason for that is if somebody is just able to call 911 and can't talk or for whatever reason can't communicate with the dispatcher, the protocol is we dispatch 2 cars immediately and investigate whether or not there was a problem there. And it's a wonderful system, and it's worked beautifully throughout the nation for the last 20 years. And now we've taken it a step further with Reverse 911 by taking that same database, putting it on a grid map so that homes are actually depicted on a grid map of streets within the township. And for example, if we get tractor trailers, Austin spoke about a tractor trailer leaking chloride gas or chlorine gas at a rest stop, we can take a dispatcher or a shift supervisor can take a pointer, a mouse on a computer screen in dispatch, and circle the area where that particular event is occurring. And the device is so advanced that it even, if you give it the wind direction and the wind speed, it'll calculate the plume coming from that particular source to tell you where you should evacuate people and where you should shelter in place people.
The next Town Council meeting will be held on April 7th in the Municipal Courtroom.